Hey, what's up, guys? So today I'm gonna go ahead and kind of show off my other commander deck that I've been playing. It's kind of a newly built deck. This was originally a Kirk Yawgmoth, son of Yawgmoth deck, which used the 7 mana Kirk to kind of make your mono black cards become Phyrexian mana. And so that was my commander before I switched over to Yawgmoth Grand Thran here. Fruition? Oh, I don't know. Again, tongue twister again. Anyways, so this deck I built about maybe 2, 3 weeks ago. I've been playing it since then, and I would say it's one of my more, I guess, combo oriented deck. Yawgmoth, the son, or Kirk, I guess I should say. Kirk is kind of a combo deck too, but not as much, I think. Where this one, because um the abilities tacked in with the commander, um, they're very, I guess they're very hard to interact with for other players. Because if they try to interact with our Yawgmoth, you can always trigger stuff. So this deck is a lot of just sitting around and waiting for the right time and the right moment and the right pieces. And you can kind of combo off or to control the board. You don't play as many permanents as quickly as you could with compared to Crick. Because Crick, your entire deck becomes Phyrexian mana, you can just dump them out as soon as possible and then start just dumping your entire hand. The problem with that Crick deck was it's more of a black cards, good black stuff dot deck, where this deck is actually there's a lot of cards that support the commander, so it's a sort of a heavy. You need your commander to kind of win, but you also the rest of the deck has, because all the cards kind of have the same theme where you're making a bunch of tokens and you're using those tokens to kind of generate you advantage. Um, it can win without its commander. It can win without Yogg, which I've won several times. There's a bunch of other built-in combos with the deck that just because being monocolored, all the black cards kind of synergize with each other regardless of how you try to build the deck. So they kind of just work together. So it's a tuned deck. It's definitely not a CDH deck, I would say. Um, at my table, my friends play a lot of different things. Example being they play Nangila, they play uh, I can't really think of stuff right now. They play like Kozilek. They play a very they play a variety of commanders that are popular on something you would find on EDH rec, and a lot of them can be almost borderline CDH. We have a Thassa's combo player. We have me. I'm playing Yawgmoth. I'm playing Rakdos. I have a friend that's playing Grand Arbiter. I have another friend that's playing I don't know, just a lot of pretty powerful commanders on the table, and I would say most of our decks we aren't playing CDH because we're not really trying to like play all the efficient cards to kind of interaction, but we are playing a bunch of high powered, highly tuned stuff that is pretty quick, and sometimes like even by turn 3 or 4 or 5, our table gets out of control really quickly. So um, yeah, and so I built the deck for pretty tuned ish. I guess on a scale of like 1 to 10, my friend groups are most of our decks were between maybe a 6 to an 8. I don't know how that translates into power. I would say like a 9 and a 10 is like CDH level where you're just like, you know, um, cutthroat play style where we are competitive players, so we do like to like try to beat and win by nature, and so we're not like super casual. We're not just there doing small little combos or small little things just for fun, but we are actively trying to murder each other. We actively become arch enemy really quickly, stuff like that. We do some politicking, but not as much. I definitely don't do too much politicking on my own because most of the time I end up being a pretty big target on the board to kind of remove. Most of the time, if I'm not winning, I die first. So if I don't win, I die first. So that's kind of like how my groups play. Even though my deck it's a slow to start deck, but once it gets going, it's very hard to stop. It's like a snowball deck. So yeah. So that's the type of level I built this deck around. It could definitely be tuned a little bit better, and there's definitely cards I can play that I don't have yet that I'm gonna probably pick up to try to make the deck a little bit more tuned, I guess. But even then, I think it's at a good power level, and I kind of um, we'll talk about it. I probably won't go through all the combos in the deck. Like naturally, when you're playing this deck, you should have very good knowledge of the deck. It requires a lot of knowledge to play, and there's plenty of games where I'm like really behind, but I end up pulling a win because I know how to combo with the deck and all the cards and how their interaction work, and you can go infinite with it really easily and find a win con one way or another. Even with a little mana as like 5 to 7 mana, and like 1 or 2 cards in your hand, and you have 1 or 2 cards on the board. If you can find a pattern, you can find a combo out of it. You can easily piece together a win condition. And I'll kind of talk about that and show you some examples, but I won't talk about every single combo because just the deck overall is just it's too hard to like explain everything. I'd spend like 3 or 4 hours on this video, um, explaining every single thing, but yeah. Anyway, so if for you don't know, Yawgmoth basically has 2 main abilities, and each of those 2 main abilities do, I would say, 2 to 3 things. So the first, I guess technically he has 3 abilities, 3 boxes of text, but his first ability here is protection from human. That is actually kind of relevant because he gets protection from himself. So my table, we play a couple of cloners or we steal other people's commanders or stuff like that, and a lot of times, a few times actually, my friends would clone Yawgmoth, but he wouldn't be able to target Yawgmoth to kill Yawgmoth. So his protection from humans is actually kind of relevant from there. So just keep that in mind. So you can also block some other random human stuff, but like a Narset or something like that. But yeah, so protection from human. His first ability is basically like 3 abilities in one. You sacrifice a creature, you put a 1/1 counter, and you draw a card. The 1/1 counter is optional, but it does need to resolve in order for you to draw a card, so keep that in mind. It's actually kind of important. Um, the sacrificing and paying life, since he's a sack outlet, he's a type of commander kind of like Corval, because we have a Corval player too. So stacking your trigger, you gotta know how to stack your triggers. If you don't stack your triggers correctly, this deck doesn't work that well. So first ability, just read it, get familiarizers or stuff with it. That's the main ability of Yawgmoth, is the first ability. The second ability is kind of a sugar, sugar on top of the card. You proliferate. So while you don't really have a whole bunch of cards to proliferate with, there are a few cards that you can proliferate and win. So your secondary win con, your secondary effect will allow you to win. The proliferating right here. Most of the time, you could be placing, using him as a removal to kind of annoy your opponents. If your opponent's playing really small commanders like a, I guess like Gila or something that has like 2 health, you can easily remove their commander. So your commander is essentially an anti-commander unless they're playing something really big, like a Kozilek or something like that. As a commander, most of the time you should be able to take out other people's commander just by having your commander on the board, and a couple of tokens. So you're allowed to play control and you're allowed to play combo with this deck. So kind of take it either way. So both my deck has both control elements to the deck and both combo elements to the deck. Yeah, and the second ability, the proliferating, has to do more with like when you proliferate your planeswalker or you proliferate maybe like some of your mana rocks, or you proliferate the 1/1 tokens, minus 1/1 tokens to kill stuff. So yeah, it kind of makes sense to basically do that. So yeah, the first ability pretty strong, or first ability, or I guess second and third ability really strong. So first card I have off is Ballista. So Walking Ballista enables a pretty big combo in the deck. You use it with Mikaeus, you use it with him. You can proliferate the counters on him, or you can -1 counters. Walking Ballista is mostly there as a combo piece, and there's sometimes where you have so much mana you can make this guy come in with like 10 counters on itself. Like, it's kind of crazy. If you opt not to play the combo variant of the deck, then you obviously probably wouldn't play the Ballista. But like I said, my deck has both control elements and combo elements, so Ballista I think is a decent card to play in here. And this one's a secret lair one. It's kind of a toggle because secret lairs. Another combo variant, combo card is Gravecaller. So Gravecaller, I'll kind of show off the next card. Works well with Carrion Feeder. These two were kind of like a central combo piece to Kirk. If you had Kirk as your commander, because you can go Carrion Feeder, sack this, bring this back. It also works with Phyrexian Arena. So if you need something to enter in multiple times onto the board, or something to cast multiple times, you can. If you need a casting, you can kill people with Aether Flux Vial, or you need something to come into the board multiple times to ping people. Gravecaller plus Carrion Feeder is usually the two combo pieces here to play. The reason why you play Carrion Feeder because he's a zombie, which enables the Gravecaller. So that's the main reason why you would do that. Sack Outlet and Enabler for the Gravecaller. Dalfi is just a great overall card. A lot of decks in Commander use the graveyard as a secondary resource, which makes sense. Dalfi hoses those decks, and just annoying card in general. People have to be very careful of what they're casting or what they're discarding with Dalfi on the board. Really good Commander card. Another good Commander card is Opposition Agent. My friends like to play green, so they're not really always searching. If they are searching, they're usually searching for like lands, and so I'd opt, or maybe they're playing fetches. In this particular deck, I wasn't really trying to hose them too much in that sense. You could play Opposition Agent in addition to this deck. I do have it. I just opt not to play because lately my table has been playing mostly like kind of like blue and they don't really play too many tutors worthwhile, so I took out Opposition Agent, but they still use the graveyard a lot, so Dalfi Voidwalker is pretty good there. Butcher Gruul, main thing is it has Undying, enables you to kind of go infinite as long as you have Yawgmoth, this guy, and something that makes a token every time he enters the battlefield, so that way you can kind of go infinite there, as long as you have life. When I say infinite, most of the time it's if you have life, then you can kind of use up until that amount of life. To kind of draw your cards and hopefully see something useful. And so, yeah, Butcher Gruul, just really mana efficient. For 2 mana, you get Undying. So, yeah. Zulaport, Cutthroat. This deck is its main win condition is being an aristocrat style. You're kind of draining people's life for a lot, and so you also need to heal because when you're using Yawgmoth's first ability, you definitely need a way to kind of heal yourself up, and so Cutthroat is just one way to do that. Same thing with, I guess, Blood Artist. So I play both of them. You have both of them on the board. It's pretty nice. I have Blood Artist has won me a lot of games where maybe you board wipe someone that has a bunch of creatures. You board wipe them, you can ping them for a lot. So yeah, they both have their uses. They're both pretty decent cards. Reassembling Skeleton, just when you need something to kind of, if you have a lot of mana and you just don't have a way to put a creature on board or to start your combo, then you can kind of use Reassembling Skeleton to return him to the grave, sack him off with Yawgmoth, draw a card. So 2 mana, draw a card, it's not too bad. I opted not to play any Entombed or any Bury Alive in the deck because there's only really 3 cards you want to really send to your graveyard, and it's the Gravecaller, and I guess Bloodgrass here. So these 3 is the main cards you would send to the graveyard if you played Entombed or if you played Bury Alive. So I opted not to play any of that because I might as well just hard draw into them and play them for what they are. They're not really that important for the deck, but they kind of help you generate advantage in when you are running low on resources and stuff like that. So yeah, so Bloodgrass, Reassembling Skeleton, and Gravecaller are kind of ways for you to generate resource. Necroskitter's next. Necroskitter is just kind of cool. Whenever you kill something with a 1/1 minus counter on it, you take control of it. Just kind of a card to annoy your opponent. And yeah, We don't play too many board wipes in the deck. This deck doesn't need that many board wipes because your commander kind of naturally acts as a board wipe or board control. So not playing too many board wipes, but yeah, deck was good there. Kind of like another essential piece of a combo, infinite. Um, um, Messenger for 3 black. You have Undying and the ability to ping someone for 2 every time he enters the battlefield, and so you can easily go infinite with him and just ping someone to death based off of his ability there. Incore Rat. Incore Rat is for those times where someone's got too much life for you to kill or something. Incore Rat comes in, gives everyone a poison counter, including yourself, uh, also known as an infect counter. With Yawgmoth, you're able to proliferate those infect counters and just kill them. Yesterday, I was playing with my friend. I think he Teferi protection himself, and there's 2 other players on the board. It's my turn. I have 5 mana, 5/6 mana. I have Yawgmoth and a couple other things on board. I was able to kill all of them with just the Inker's Rat because I was able to. I had like put this plunder, a thing that created a token every time something entered in the battlefield, and I kept drawing my entire deck, drew every card that I needed. I had like infinite tokens, and I just put Incord Rat, proliferated it 9 times with Yawgmoth, and killed my friend under Teferi's protection with the poison counter. So yeah, there you go. That's the one time you would use him is to do that. If you can't kill him with by killing their health, then you kill him with the poison effect counter. So yeah, Pot of Yawgmoth, just another token generator. Makes you a Eldrazi spawn, which you can sack for colorless mana. But yeah, just another token. The one card I haven't gotten in the mail yet is my the Snake Dancer chick. Basically, I bought one from Commander Black, so I don't have it in my deck yet, but I just kind of proxy it. But basically, you get a snake every upkeep when you don't control a snake token on board. Just a way to kind of generate advantage. Just basically, if you have her and Yawgmoth on the board, you can draw 3 cards every rotation. If you're playing a 4-player games, you can sack the snake token, draw a card. Someone else's turn, you make another token, sack it off, draw another card. So yeah, a really good value engine in the deck with just Yawgmoth and Snake Dancer on the board. Ira here. Ira's useful in the sense that she will ping people when a black creature comes onto the board. So she will see every time something comes on the board. So something with Undying, you can ping them for 1,000,000. Something with, or sometimes you'll use her to sack a creature to draw a card, but you don't really need to because your commander kind of already does that. But the main thing is something enters the board. We do play 28 creatures, so every time a black creature comes on the board or a black token or something like that enters the board, I think yeah, a black token, then yeah, you can ping someone for some life there. Pitless Punter, a combo infinite enabler. If you have a sack outlet plus him plus something that generates a token, you can make infinite mana with this guy. Yeah, because he sees tokens. When tokens die, he does generate a treasure, which is nice. If it's non-token, then he'd be a little bit worse. But because he does see tokens die, can make you a bunch of mana here. So yeah. Next off, kind of a card I just kind of threw in. I liked it. I liked it. Not too bad. It's basically 4 mana, draw 4 cards when you have, um, when you have Yawgmoth on the board. So 4 life, 4 mana, draw 4. Not too bad. Yeah, not much else to really say about him. Kalidas, just another last minute addition here. I like Kalidas because you do kill a lot of things on the board, a lot of like non-token creatures, and you do. The cool thing about him, he generates you zombie tokens, and he has the ability to heal you a bit. You can sack off your zombie tokens. You sack off, some vampires or something else like that, and you can buff him up. And yeah, he kind of hoses graveyard strategy decks too. If they're trying to go infinite or something with it, you have him on the board. Kind of deters that. So yeah, I liked him when I played him. He does his job. We do have a zombie player at my table too, and so yeah. Each of my decks have like 3 or 4 different decks, And there's like a group of like 5, 7 of, or I think I want to say like 6 or 8 of us that play EDH. So none of us really play the same commander. Actually, none of us play the same commander, but yeah. So um, have a variety of decks, and I think he works well. Cypher Skulls, same thing as the Pawn of Ugamog. Um, yeah, just a token generator. He's probably not that great though. Every time I cast him, he didn't really do too much for me, but you know he's just there. This guy's pretty good. 5 mana. You can after you cast a creature spell, you make a bunch of thrall tokens, which you can kind of use to uh, generate more value if you have him in. Um, what I usually do is I have him next turn. I'll cast Yawgmoth, make you 4 tokens right there, and you can kind of sack them off to um, generate value. Sidisi, just a good creature tutor. You're playing a lot of tokens, so you can play this, sack a token, tutor whatever you need. Also, zombie plays well with the Gravecaller, so yeah. Merchant here, another good decent win con. Sometimes you can kind of go infinite with this guy. Just if you keep summing up um, Gray here, or Gary, I guess. Keep summing out Gary, then yeah, you can kind of kill people there. Yeah, this is just another token generator. You make rats with death 1/1 death touch. No one wants to attack you if you have this thing on the board, and you have a bunch of rat tokens. No one's gonna attack you, so kind of good deterrent here. Kind of expensive, but yeah. Harvester's Soul I never really got to use, just because your commander already draws you enough cards. So when you do, and he doesn't generate any card advantage off the tokens. He generates card advantage off like the Undying stuff, so you can kind of potentially draw out your whole deck. I don't really rely on my opponent killing my opponent stuff to draw cards. He's 6 mana, so he's kind of expensive for this deck. So I may take him out. I don't know. He's kind of just a placeholder. I was playing Villas, the blood the 8/8 demon, but Villas I found even more useless because he's 8 mana. I never casted Villas, so I was like okay, maybe I'll go for him. He's a little bit cheaper and doesn't require life to draw or anything like that. But I haven't even got the chance to really play him, so can't say if he's good or not. Never saw him. Macias, you definitely need a Macias in this deck to make it work. The Undying and the ability to kind of revive a bunch of stuff and go cobble off with him. Yeah, just Macias. Coke Show, not a kind of expensive card for the deck, not that great, but there was a game I won with him. Like he serves the same purpose as Gary does. Basically, if you have a way to infinitely revive with basically usually it's Macias plus Gary or Macias plus Coke Show, you can kind of hose your opponent really quickly with these 2 cards and just ping the whole table for a lot of damage. So yeah, that's what Macias is for the Undying, and the ability to kind of sack, remove the counter, sack, remove the counter, and keep going off of that. Name the Holy Father and the Son here, Keurig. He's won me a game by himself actually. Like one time I didn't have my commander on the board, but I won just infiniting off of this guy. So I think I had like Keurig, a Razakaf, and like I think this was my board. I had Keurig, Razakaf. Oh, I guess here you go. Here's the other demon. The last creature I play is a Razakaf. So I think here's an example of a combo I won off of just having 4 cards on the board. I think I had Anya and a Cutthroat, and basically it was my turn, and this is what I had on the board. I had 5 mana, 5 lands. This was like turn 5, so I spent 6 life plus my 5 land, casted him. No one countered it, so I think this is how I won. I think I sacrificed Cutthroat here, and I think I tutored for a. I think I tutored for. Where is he? Did I just lose him? I tutored for a Gravecaller, I think. So this is how you can kind of like craft craft your own win condition. So the deck is, as I said, this deck is a lot of cards. They just synergize with each other, and you can kind of do it. So I sacked um, yeah, because like turn two I played this, turn three I played that, turn four I played Keurig, turn five I played the Razgal. So I had a perfect curve there. But anyways, yeah, I sacked this thing, tutored for this, paid Keurig, played him, sacked him off with this thing, got added the Carrion Feeder, played the Carrion Feeder because right now I'm tapped out. I have no mana open except for a Keurig. That's all I'm using. So I'm using Phyrexian mana to do all this. So I'm pinging people and healing a little bit each time, but I am losing net negative life. I think I was only at like maybe 12 life, 10 life left. But yeah, so sacked. I think from here I played the Gravecaller with the Keurig ability. Now I have another sack outlet. So and then I still have a sack outlet from here. So I sack this guy off again, and I tutored for I think oh, I haven't shown it yet, but I tutored for I think reanimate right here. So I tutored for reanimate, and then I go reanimate. I reanimate the cutthroat back on the board, and now you have an infinite right here. So you pay two with the cutthroat. You heal one when he enters, and you sacrifice it, and then you holds everyone for 2 life, and you gain 2 life. Well, you lose 2 life first, but you gain back your 2 life based off this, and then yeah, you just go infinite. You sack off with Carrion Feeder. You play him with the Keurig, sack it off with Carrion Feeder. Yeah, basically that's how you generate an infinite right there. So yeah, like the deck just even when you're tapped out, there's ability for you to kind of if you have a tutor and stuff, you can kind of go ham and crazy there. So that's how I crafted a win con, just based off of like the 3 or 4 cards I had on the board. So you need to know how your deck works, and you need to know what's in it in order to kind of generate those kind of win cons there. So that was that, and then let's go through the non-creature stuff. How long is this video? Okay, so I'm gonna try to hopefully go through this creature stuff. So here I've Karn the I think he's the Great Creator. So the reason he's here is you can turn people's you use him namely to kind of kill people's I want to say their artifacts, and you hold their stones also. So he's kind of good. So his +1 allows you to make a artifact into a creature, and then you use Yawgmoth to basically kill their artifact, or if you have a sack outlet or something, you can use it to, like if you had like a Erebos Dictate or something like that, you can kind of force them to kill some of their high value artifacts, because you don't really have any artifact removal in the deck. Being black, you need to kill stuff like Gravedigger's Cage, or you need to kill like a Tormod's grave or something that might hose your ability, because this deck does use the graveyard potentially to win. So you want to be careful of that. You definitely want to do that. So yeah, good planeswalker. Unfortunately, he doesn't have an ult, and his minus ability is useless, but he's still pretty good. Don't have to play him if you don't have him, but I opted to play him. So Liliana here, really good in this deck. Namely because you can ult with her really easy. Her ult is very low to the ground. So if you play her, yeah, you up her 1. Next turn you should have like 5 or 6 mana. Or like if you go Yawgmoth and then you play, or you play her and you don't kill her, you plus her, get your swamp next turn 5. Or if you have ramp or whatever, you go Yawgmoth. If you have at least 4 open mana, you can proliferate her twice and then ult her immediately, and from the rest of the game you basically generate so much mana with your swamps. I think every time I casted her and I ulted with her, I've won. Like she doesn't look very threatening to a lot of people, but the ult where you have so much mana, and because you draw a ton with your commander, you can just kind of hose them down with just having so much mana by like turn 4 or 5, you have like, if you're drawing a bunch of swamp, you should have like at least like 20 mana, um, and be able to win just from that. Um, this one, you don't really have to play him. I mainly use her as a token generator. She's not that great being a token generator, but she does have the ability to reanimate some stuff. So yeah, so sometimes that's actually kind of important, and you do reanimate a bunch of some stuff with her. Her ult is kind of garbage, so I wouldn't even pay attention to her ult. But her +1 is relevant, and it sends some stuff to the graveyard, and her -3 is pretty good. So I like her. You don't obviously have to play her. You're able to play Planeswalker in this deck because of proliferating, and you have a lot of tokens. So you have a lot of blockers. So a lot of times people won't even bother attacking you if you can get out some tokens on the board. Obviously, if you play your Planeswalker on the empty board, they risk dying pretty quickly. So just be careful when you're playing Planeswalker. The next one is the other Lily here, which is pretty good. So whenever something dies, your token dies, you draw a card, and if you get a chance to ult with her, same thing. You play her, you pump her to 7. Next turn, if no one gets rid of her, you proliferate twice and you hose her your opponent's entire board. So yeah, I haven't really got to ult her that much. I never really got to see her. I ulted this Lily maybe 4 or 5 times and won with her, but I never got a chance to really ult with her because I guess her being a 6 mana is a lot slower and a lot harder to combo out rather than both of these being 4 mana. So yeah, I do play some tutors in the deck, not too many, but I do play some tutors. So Vampiric Tutor pretty good for the deck because you can tutor it and then draw it with the Yawgmoth. So if you're gonna play a tutor, Vampiric is good there. This is a ritual, dark ritual, or black ritual. Forgot what it is. I think it's dark ritual. Yeah, just to kind of ramp you. Reanimate. I showed you a little bit earlier. Just a really efficient card. Mainly just because it's just 1 mana. So yeah. Cabal Rituals, and it's another ritual card. Don't really need it, but I opt to play it because why not? You could play Calling of the Week and some other stuff like on my tapped out. If you take a look of the cards I put in the maybe board, those are some options for you to play whatever you have. I just decided to go with Cobalt Ritual here. Feed the Swarm, you needed to remove certain enchantments, I guess. A way out to certain enchantments. It's your only real efficient way to do it too. For just 2 mana, you do lose some life, but there's some enchantments you do definitely have to remove. Feed the Swarm is there for that. I was playing Hellfire because this is a second, like I guess another win condition is either Hellfire, Storm or whatever, or Insanguinate. Um, when I had a lot of mana, sometimes my opponent had a lot of like treasure tokens, or they had a lot of like um, a lot of tokens themselves. Because a lot of my friends, like my friend that plays Nagila, he has like 10 million tokens. So Hellfire I wasn't even though I had like I ulted with Liliana that one game. I had like 20 or 30 mana. Even if I cast it for like 28, I wouldn't have been able to kill them because they had a bunch of like tokens to sacrifice and wouldn't take the damage. So I'm gonna try out Synchronate here because I think if I had like 28, I can cast this for 30 or whatever. I can hose them for like 30 health and heal myself a bunch, keep myself in the game. So I think I'm just go for Synchronate over the Hellfire. Yeah, try that out. I think this is Sign in Blood. So just draw 2 cards, lose 2. Not much to say there. Same thing here, Night Whisper, just efficient draw cards in case you need them in the early game. Demonic Tutor, another good tutor card, best black tutor. Grim Tutor I don't like too much, but it's the only other decent tutor I have. You can play Diabolic Intent. I think Diabolic Intent I might pick up for the deck because you have a bunch of tokens and it's a more efficient tutor than Grim Tutor is. I just play it because I like the art of Grim Tutor, but yeah. My only real board wipe is basically Toxic Deluge. Yeah, not much to say about that. Living Death, another board wipe, another revival spell. Yeah, you don't really need too many board wipes. And at my board, at my table, board wiping is not that efficient. So as a way to kind of answer threats. So you either just try to win, or if your opponent has a huge board and you guys can't deal with it, well, I guess we're kind of dead anyways. So um, between like if someone becomes arch enemy, they have a lot of creatures. Between the other three players, you each should be running 2 to 3 board wipes. So one of you guys should be able to board wipe and reset the game a little bit. So you don't need that many board wipes depending on how your play group is. But yeah. In this deck, you have a big board, so you probably don't want to be playing too many board wipes. Just a Blood Chief's Ascension is whatever's. It's just a good one mana threat is what I think of it as. It sits on the board. If they don't remove it, eventually it becomes a threat, and yeah, so you can just kind of hose people with Blood Chief's Ascension if you just aren't careful with it. You can also proliferate this thing, so you get 1 damage on someone, you proliferate it twice, it becomes active, and you have a life generator and a way to kind of punish your opponent for playing cards. So yeah. Bastion Remnants. Sorry, kind of didn't have my coffee quite yet. So this just ping person, make a token. Not much to really say about it. It's just another aristocrat card. Ferrex Arena, draw your card. Nest of Scarabs, you can easily go infinite with this guy. So another good token generator for the deck. I think is the best token generator. My friends will always try to remove this thing if they can. If they're playing green or white or something, they're always gonna try to kill this thing. So yeah. Another okay generator is Blightmount. I like this one mainly because the tokens that it does make you have a way for you to heal, so you can kind of go infinite with this thing. It's not bad. You could play Bitter Blossom or Dreadhorde Invasion if you want a more consistent token generator every turn. I found them a little slow, and I didn't really like them because you have to wait a whole rotation just to make one token, and I was like, whatever. If I can go infinite, I'd rather find token generators that I can go infinite with, especially if they're enchantments. I'm gonna find something that just allows me to go infinite rather than making one token a turn. Like Bitter Blossom is definitely a great card. Same with Dreadhorde Invasion, but I opted to go for this route instead of that. Necropotence, in case you're just not drawing anything. Necropotence is another way to kind of draw your whole deck. But yeah, there you go. One of the best cards for the deck is Grave Pack here. Same thing with Dictative Erebos. Every time you sacrifice something, your opponent's gotta sacrifice something. So, great way to control the board. I definitely think you need to play both of them if you are playing this particular deck. So, yeah, Dictate and Grave Pack here. Black Market, in theory, is good. I never got to play it. Like every time I played it, the game I went over or they removed it. Like I might just take it out. Honestly, it's a 5 mana. It will generate you like nearly infinite mana if it sticks on the board, or if you have a sack outlet and stuff. But I feel like by the time you have a sack outlet and a way to go infinite, the Black Market's already too late to play. So it's okay. I might give it a few more rolls before I finally take it out. I don't think it's just too slow. If you can ramp into it, then it'd be great. You can ramp into this plus get out a way to start killing stuff. Then it's great. But most of the time, it's kind of I guess. Chalice I liked. Chalice is not too bad. You can proliferate this thing. It generates you colorless, unfortunately, but I think it's an efficient way. If you wanted to like get some extra value, you can Chalice. The rest of this is just kind of mana rocks, and really, the mana base for this deck is cheap, but the mana rocks are expensive. You don't have to play these mana rocks really. This is entirely optional. I know this is a tune deck, so definitely we are playing some pretty expensive mana rocks here. Like so, the Jewel Lotus here. Even just this copy is like $80. So if you don't got it, you don't really need it. You can play something else. Same thing here. Another 0 mana artifact. Ramp. It's kind of expensive. Even like the base copy of this thing is like 150 right now or something like that. So you don't necessarily need these cards. I just happen to have them, so I am playing them. Same thing with Chrome Mox. I know these things are pretty expensive right now. So Chrome Mox, Opal. the Opal Mox and stuff like that. They're all expensive. If you don't have them, there's pretty similar um, cards to play. Don't really need them. Same thing with this thing. And this is like, those cards alone, these like 3-4 cards alone, add up to like half a thousand right there. So if you don't have them, don't feel the need to play them. But if you do have them, you can play them. I happen to have them, so that's why I rated my deck. Best cheap one is like this Soul Ring. You definitely pick this up for like $1 or $2. So yeah, there's your Soul Ring. There's expensive Soul Rings. I just happen to have a cheap Soul Ring. I don't have any expensive ones. Skull Clamp, definitely need in the deck, I think, because you have a bunch of tokens. Pay it's 1 mana, draw 2, so it's a good card. I think it's pretty expensive now. It's like $8 or something like that. But yeah, Sensei's Dividing Top. You don't need in the deck, but it will allow you to go infinite with the Bolus Bolus Citadel plus Aether Flux Reservoir. This will allow you to go infinite, so that's why I have it in the deck. So I do have these cards, so that's why I'm playing them. A lot of these cards, the artifacts are extraordinarily expensive. Like, Sensei's Top's like $50-$60. If you don't have it, don't play it. This is a tuned deck, so I do have it. Am I playing? Same thing with like the Medallion here. Jet Medallion's like another like $30 to $40. You don't have it, don't play it. Play like something else. Play like a Thought Vessel or something else. It's good enough, right? Genesis Chamber, just a way to kind of generate tokens when something enters the board. Yeah, your opponent also generates the token, but this card is definitely used to, on your turn when you're ready to just kill everyone, you play the Generous Chamber, and it's a way to kind of go infinite with anything with Undying. So yeah, kind of combo card there. Or if you just play a bunch of creatures, you can make a bunch of tokens. So yeah, Arcane Synod, not much to say about that. Cornucopia, I want to like a lot, but I also find it kind of expensive to play, because it's 3 mana for 1 mana initially, and you can also proliferate this thing, but most of the time it's like it's not too great. I find it a little slow. My table is pretty fast. Like, it's a fast table, fast aggro, or fast. People can go off by turn 3 or 4. It's almost like CDH, but like I said, not quite, because we are still playing some pretty weird cards that are not, that wouldn't see play in CDH, I guess. But yeah, depending if you're playing a little bit slower table, this is a pretty good card. Yeah. Phyrexian Altar, another combo enabler, very expensive. If you don't have them, Astronaut Altar is another good replacement for it. Or you can play both. For me, your commander's already a sack outlet, so this is kind of redundant. But because it generates you black, there are ways to go infinite with it really quickly. Astronaut Altar, very expensive card. I don't recommend it if you don't have one already. So yeah. Aetherflux Reservoir for the combo here. Both Citadel Aetherflux Reservoir is a general combo. Or your Aetherflux Reservoir with Gravecrawler, or you just need this thing to heal. I end up playing this thing just to heal, and then go infinite with the Inkor Rat combo I did the last night, because I just need a way to generate life, and I just hardcasted this with the Pitless Plunder token, treasure tokens, and use Aetherflux Reservoir just to keep healing myself, so I can keep drawing my deck. So yeah, both Citadel, the best black artifact card you can get. So definitely think you should be playing this in this particular deck if you want, or just any black deck really. Anything that plays black, Citadel is just almost too good to not play. So it's one of the best artifacts. Usually it threatens to end the game if no one has an answer it for a couple of turns. It'll push you really far ahead. So yeah, Citadel's a pretty good card there. It's too expensive for CDH, but for a borderline CDH group, good card. I didn't play Thought Vessel. I had Thought Vessel in the deck, but I ended up just playing the Wreck Tower here. Sometimes you'll draw a billion cards, and at least this way you can have a way of gaining a max hand size, no max hand size. There are sometimes my friends do play Jintaxia, and so this card kind of at least saves you from Jintaxis if you can't get rid of it. So just the one you can play both. You can play this and the Thought Vessel, but yeah. War Room, just in case you want to pay 4 mana plus 1 life to draw a card. That bad. Urja Saga, I know this card is pretty expensive now. It's like $40. It namely searches for like a Mind Clamp or Sensei's Top or something like that, or a Soul Ring. There's a bunch of 1 mana, 0 mana artifacts in the deck. Yeah, just another way to search it. Westvale Abbey, I don't think I ever flipped this thing. It's just there as a late game sort of thing. If I ever get enough tokens on the board, or I need to heal or something, then Westvale is there for that. Ancient Tomb, just another good ramp land. So pay 2 to ramp into whatever you need. Homeward Path is actually really good. I think every deck should play a Homeward Path. There's a bunch of time when someone plays like reanimate something from your grave, or they steal your commander or something like that. You need a way to get something back. Homeward Path is just really good, underrated utility land. You can also play like other utility lands. You could play the Rizula lands. You could play the copy lands. You could play um, the Arcane Lighthouse to get rid of Hexproof. You could play Maze of If, stuff like that. I think Homeward Path is the one card that I always feel safe with, and I can always technically tutor for this if I needed to, and it's free, so good way to protect yourself from like insurrection, stuff like that, or like rise from the shadows or rise from the dark realms. Um, so yeah, Homeward Path is just a good card to have as a utility. Another real good card is Nithos. If you're playing monocolor, this card will generate you 1,000,000 mana, so Nithos is just a great card overall. Cabal Coffers, because you're playing a bunch of swamp. You also have Urborg in the deck. Cabal Coffer will generate you a lot of mana. Argadium is just a utility land, plus a way to revive your grave if you need some graveyard revival. But most of the time you're playing it for as a land. Same thing with Rebirth here. I've actually used this quite a few times to do some synergy. So you go Rebirth or something, sack it off, it comes back. So Rebirth is a good card, also a good land. So that's why it's in there. But you could just there are the graveyard strategies in there, and I have just one way to kind of interact with the graveyard. Bujuka Bob is the way to go. You don't really have to play it. It's kind of slow. It's a tap land, but it's nice. Phyrexian Tower, for when you need a sack outlet, you have nothing else, or you need to ramp. Phyrexian Tower is there, pretty good. I overall like Phyrexian Tower in my black decks, so yeah. Castle Lock 3 is optional, kind of expensive, but it's for when you're like out of ways to draw, I guess. Then you can use it. It's similar to War Room. You tap it. You tap 4 mana plus pay probably 1, or you don't pay a life, but you lose life according to how many cards you have in your hand. Most of the time, if you have 0 cards in your hand and you use this to draw 1, you'll take 1 damage. So just another way to draw if you wanted to. Urborg, just to turn everything else into a swamp, combos well with Cabal Coffers. Yeah, so Urborg there. Witch of the Cottage here, just another island, or sorry, another swamp. My mistake there. You can search it out with Lily, or if you're playing some tutor or fetch land. Sorry, like I'm playing 3 fetches, or I'm playing 3 fetches, but only 2 of them can actually search out the cottage here. So cottage, when it comes in with 3 or more swamp, you can put a creature back on top of your deck. Sometimes that happens. Yeah, so I played 3 fetches. You can play more if you wanted to. I'm just playing these. So these don't have colors to them, so you can't play them in case you didn't know. Lands don't have a color identity, and these ones can fetch for a swamp. Reason why I play 3 because it also works with Bloodghast. It doesn't come up that often, but it does come up sometimes where you need to get Bloodghast twice or something like that for value. This will come in handy. You can definitely play more tutors, more fetch lands if you wanted to. The other swamp ones. I also have Polluted Delta. I got the other black one. I think I'm missing the green black one. Is the one I'm missing, but those are in my other decks. So this is just what I had around. So if you want to tune out the deck more, you can play more fetch lands. Yeah, and then I think I'm playing like 13 or 14 swamps. And yeah, that's the deck. So quite a long video here. Like I said, I'm not gonna really spend any other time explaining the combos you'll see in the deck. If you have any questions about that, you can just post in the comment. I'll reply, and I'll kind of show you how to do the combo or in the comments if you're interested in it. But yeah, as long as you know the cards in your deck and you know what combos and what situation you're in, you can definitely combo off with this deck, and either generate a lot of mana or generate a lot of tokens. In this deck, I almost never ever attack. Like you're never winning by attacking. It is winning by aristocrat or winning. If you are attacking, it means your other opponents have nothing on the board. They're way behind. That's the time when you can attack to deal some damage. Most of the time, because like you kind of see that all the creatures I'm playing, they have very low power. They're not very big. Um, so you're not winning by attacking, but you're generally winning by calling off of Yawgmoth, and just either proliferating with your Planeswalker as a win con, proliferating with Infect maybe, or just aristocrating everyone to death. So that's the idea. If you don't like playing aristocrats, then this deck is definitely not for you, because it is kind of a boring strategy. It's a very, you know, cookie cutter strategy is to kind of ping everyone to death. But I mean that is the deck right there. That is what Black's main win con is just being aristocrat. So if you don't like that, then probably pick a different mono black commander. But yeah, Yawgmoth is just very powerful, hard to interact with, cheap to play in terms of mana cost, very flexible. You can build this deck however you like, and yeah, but overall, because you're paying life, you're gonna end up adding a lot of creatures that are gonna heal you, and most of those creatures will ping your opponent. So just the black synergy there. That's why the main win con of the deck is to combo off and kill your opponent through aristocrating. So yeah, that's basically the deck. I might change a couple cards in the deck, maybe 2 or 3 cards. I did buy some new cards. I think I bought. Let me check here. What did I buy here? I bought. I think Tevish is another planeswalker I bought to try out. Basically, he can just make straw tokens. I think I bought Liliana the heretical healer as another card to play for fun. And I might buy the Diabolic Tutor or something else. But just a couple more cards I might try out in the deck. I have actually I have my fact stack of like magic cards in here. If you don't know, this is all the cards I'm not using. But basically another fact stack of magic cards I could maybe add in here. Most of it's black because my main primary commander color is black, so I have all black cards. So, but yeah, check out my tap out for the deck list, and all the maybe cards that you can play in a deck. And yeah, if you got any questions, hit me up in the comments or whatever, and I'll see you guys next time.